Welcome students to Sheba Online Studies. Okay, now we have 10th standard student. We have finished unit 1 completely. Prose poetry supplementary and a little bit active passive voice grammar I have finished with you, isn't it? Hope you are revising all your portions. Only then as it goes I have to continue with the units, isn't it? So please keep revising your portions. Don't be idle in the house. Okay, whatever homework is given to you, please do it. Okay, and now today I am going to start with unit 2 prose lesson. What is it? The night the ghost got in. Okay, this is a very imaginative and humor filled prose lesson. Okay, actually this is written by James Grover in way back in 1950 during the World War. 1914, no, the World War started. So during that time, that time only this November, that is November 17, 1915, this lesson had been taken. He had written this story, and that story is for us as a prose lesson. Just to tell you like how that situation, how it was, and how what is I know what is anecdote. Anecdote means it is a small funny incident happened in anybody's life. Okay, this anecdote only is a prose lesson to you. Okay, let me start. Now the characters I'll tell you. Characters are narrator, that is James Grover. James Grover is telling his experience about how his grandfather is during this war time. His grandfather used to he was very active in the war. But what happened after he became a veteran, that is after he retired, he served in the Civil War. He was a veteran and he served in the Civil War during that time. So his mind was full of this war. How that enemy is going to attack us and what is going to happen, all that, no, that was completely in his mind. So one small incident in that. So characters, one of them is his grandfather, narrator's grandfather, narrator's mother, and narrator's brothers, that is Herman and Roy. Roy and Herman's father had gone for they went for a visit to Indianapolis. Okay, and in the house who were there means Herman, his brother, mother, and grandfather, 3 members, and James. Okay. So this is it. So I'll tell you. Next door neighbors, their name is Mr. and Mrs. Bardwell. Okay, this is a very imaginative story. Just listen to it. It's quite funny only, but it's not very. How you claim it as laughter? You can't laugh. It is quite dry only. But they say it is humorous. Okay, fine, whatever. The story starts like James midnight, like 1:40 in the night, middle of the night, 1:40. So he gets up, he wants to have a bath. So he goes to the bathroom and he just has a bath. As he is having a bath, suddenly he hears footsteps. That is, now the whole place is so silent, okay, because middle of the night he is going to have a bath, and that time who will be walking about in the house? Nobody, isn't it? So suddenly he gets footsteps coming, that is going around the dining table. So what he does, he just puts off the thing and he just ties a towel around him and comes out and looks near he's on top, that is his room is on top, first floor, and he can look down. When he looks down around the dining table, he can hear the sound, footsteps going around and around this dining table. He wondered who at this time of the moment who will come down to the dining table. His mother and brother is another room, and mother adjacent room, and the grandfather is sleeping in the attic. What is the attic? A small room above, that is the top floor. No, there is one small room. Actually it is kind of a storeroom, but that's a place where he sleeps, grandfather sleeps. So he said, everybody are asleep, who will come down at this moment and at this time and go around the dining table? So he was wondering who can it be. Then as he looked down, he went down the steps, but immediately what happened? He got very scared. So he said, okay, let me get the help of my brother. So he goes to Herman's room. Herman knocks at his room and then goes inside. His brother is fast asleep. So he tried to wake him up. He woke up, but he got scared looking at him. What happened? Because he is fully bare, only one towel he is tying and standing in front of him. He said, what is wrong with you? Why are you coming and standing like this in the middle of the night? He said, get up, don't shout, get up. And there's some burglar. Burglar means a thief is in the house. Let's go and see. Come with me. I'm getting scared, he said. So Herman already is very scared. Herman is very scared person. He does not get. He's not a very brave. Okay. So he said, okay. He held on to James, and both of them came, looked around the balcony to see who it is. Again they could hear the same steps going around the dining table. Said, oh, then both of them were wondering if it was a thief, at least we can see, no, we can see the person going around walking, but we can't see, only the, I can hear only the footsteps. Then immediately what they thought is, no, it is not a burglar, it can be a ghost. So for them, see the imagination. So one new imagination they are getting. It's a burglar, they are thinking it's then it is they have changed their thing imagination to it's a ghost in the house. So they got. See, they are not scared of the burglar, they are more scared about the ghost. Saying both of them looked at each other and they ran to them, then they ran inside the room. They said, how can, getting very scared now, what to do. Then again they came out, let's see, whatever it is, let's see. So they came out of the room to that balcony nearby, and they want to go down and see who it is. And immediately the footsteps which was going around the dining table, it came, that is, it was coming near to them, like this, where they were standing. They were standing on top of that is up the stairs, and the footsteps were coming, that is climbing up the stairs, and immediately that burglar or the thief, whatever the ghost, is coming near them, they said, and they ran and went inside the room and shut the room, and this so loudly they shut the door, like next room, adjacent room, who is there? His mother is there. Mother got very angry, what these boys are doing instead of sleeping. So she was thinking, and she came out of the room. Then immediately these boys, no, the mummy's voice we can hear. Let us go to, otherwise she'll come out and something the ghost will do to my mother. She said, both of them, brother and that is Herman and James, what they did? They ran to their mother's room. They said, calm her down, don't shout, keep calm. Because they said, they did not want to say it's a ghost, because she's very, very scared of ghost. So she said, it's a burglar, ma'am, don't shout. So he said, okay, what is it? Okay, let's call our neighbors. Otherwise, because if they want to call the police, they have to go down the steps, and then near the dining table only is the phone, landline phone. So this is there are no mobile phones, all, because 1915 means what it is, all that landline, that is no that kind of phones. So he said, I can't go down also. We can't go down. We can't stay in the house. We have to ask help. So who will we go and ask? So he said, mother got an idea. See, next house is Mr. and Mrs. Bordwell's house. So they said, okay, why don't we call? Herman and James said, how will we call them? It is they must be sleeping. How will we call them? We can't even make a phone call, or we can't even yell out and call them. No, we can't shout, because there's a burglar downstairs. He'll be aware that the inmates are awake. So what they did is, mother thought of an idea. She took a heel shoe she took, and she just threw it, because those people, foreigners' house, most of them will be having glass windows, glass doors, glass windows. So she took, because there's this house to another house, that house and this house, there was only one small gap only. So she took the shoe and with full force she threw it on the window, and the window shattered and the glass fell down, and without noise, Mr. Bordwell came to the window and he was shouting, said, I am going to leave this house and go away. Such a nuisance these neighbors are. Like that he kept on talking. But then he came to the window, then he saw these somebody waving out. Then he saw inside, they said, what is happening? He said, no, there's a burglar, call the police. They kept giving him action. They were thinking whether he understood or not, just looked at them. And this Mr. Bordwell just looked at him and they went away. They were thinking whether he understood what we are saying or not. So then James' mother wanted to take another shoe and throw it. Then he said, no, wait, let's see what is going to happen. So they waited for some time, and immediately within a 10 minutes time, there was a force of army, that is a police force, totally one big van, and then a jeep and motorcycles. So many people had come there, and reporters also, that is TV reporters, middle of the night TV reporters. So many had come to their place, and the whole place was sounding with the sirens of the police siren. And then they came down, and after they couldn't come down, they were very scared, because mother wanted to go down. But these two boys, what they know, it is not a thief, it is a ghost. So will the ghost get scared of the police? No. So keeping that in mind, they didn't want to go down at all. And then after some time, the police came and they kept knocking at the door. Open, they kept on saying, this is the police, open the door. But how will they go down? One, James is only wearing a towel, that's all. Just a towel, nothing else inside. And this Herman is a very scared person, he will not go down. Mother wanted to go down. Then after she turned to James and said, James, you want to go down like this with the towel and face the police? Go and change, she said. But why would he go? He won't let his mother. She is not leaving his mother's place. Then what his mother did is, put his, she took out her evening, that is a night gown, and made him wear it. He was wearing a lady's night gown. So then afterwards, then all of them went down slowly, and then the police, what they did, they didn't come to open the door. These three didn't come to open the door. What they did is, they broke open the window next to the door, and the window was fully shut. They broke open the window, they came inside the house, and they kept questioning him, who was there in the house, and said, this is Herman, I am James, and this is my mother, only three, and my grandfather. He didn't mention about the grandfather. So these three were talking, that is, saying, they are investigating, the police are investigating. So they introduced themselves at nearly 1.5 an hour back. I heard footsteps around the thing, all that, whatever happened, he just told. Then the police said, if there was a thief in the house, then because all the doors and windows are fully closed, how will he come inside? So when they went and checked the whole house, all the windows were locked, doors were locked, nothing was open. Doors, all the inside the cupboards, the drawers, everything were intact. So how will a burglar come? If the burglar comes, what he does? He will come to rob, isn't it? But nothing, no robbery incident was can be seen. So he said, what is wrong with this? Tell me something you are hiding, tell me what has happened. But till then they did not even say it's a ghost, both of them, they kept quiet. And then after some time, what happened? Suddenly some noise from the from the attic. Because of this commotions and this sound, and this police, what they did is started investigating. So they went around, opened all the windows, went to all the rooms, took out opened the bed and saw, then that mattress, bed, the pillows was such a mess. The whole house was such a mess, and so much noise was because so many policemen were inside the house. So there were just one big chaos in the house. Chaos means a confusion in the house. And then finally, suddenly hearing the confusion in the house, noise in the house, who got up? Grandfather got up. Grandfather got up and he came down. Then he saw all this, the whole, so many people, what he is having, he is dreaming. He is dream walking only, that is sleepwalking. And when he came out, he was having took out the gun, one big rifle he has got. He took that rifle and came and he thought, oh, these are the Captain Meade's army people have come to surrender, isn't it? You are covered up. He kept on telling that, and what he took the gun and shot one police officer. So in that confusion, still he is imagining army people are in the house, and the opponents, that is enemy people, are inside the house, and he took a gun and shot one police officer, a young fellow, and he got wounded in the arm. Nothing happened, thankfully. He got wounded in the arm only. So he get down. Then again what happened? He dropped the gun and went back to sleep. Who? The grandfather. Again he went back to sleep. Everybody were in such a confusion. What happened now? What happened few minutes back? What happened? Suddenly one person from the attic is coming. One old man came and shot and went back to sleep. So it was such a funny incident. Everybody were looking at it, and then didn't laugh because one person is terribly wounded because of him. And then after some time, everybody got settled down. It almost going to be morning time. So they got the wounded policeman was given first aid, and then they were all talking about this. And then finally, what happened? This incident. Next day morning, everybody had gone. The police officers, everybody had gone. And then in the morning, that is in the dining table, they are having breakfast. Grandfather, all the children, on the Herman, then James and mother, all of them are having breakfast. And when they are having breakfast, what happened is, grandfather was telling, what was the confusion last night, he said. Then they all thought, because actually he is absent-minded, he forgets, whatever he said, he forgets. Then next minute he will not remember at all. So what he thought, he will not remember what happened the night. So they were very tense. Already there was going to be a police case because he shot a police officer. And then what happened? Finally, this grandfather, what he did, he just recollected everything. He remembered everything what was happening. Then he said, something happened, right? The soldiers had come and captured the opponent, he said. Then he was talking to that, and then everybody, then he said, after some time he said, why didn't you leave a water bottle near my bedside? I came down to the dining table so many times looking for water, and I couldn't find a jug of water itself. So now it is understood, it was not a burglar, it was not a ghost, but it was the grandfather who came down from the attic in search of water and to drink water. That's why he went around the dining table Still he couldn't get a bottle of water, and then finally from the kitchen he got the water bottle and he took it to his attic. So that's what he kept scolding everybody. Couldn't keep a water bottle in my bedroom. So this what happened. It was just a funny incident which happened to this James Grover's family. Sir, okay. Next unit 2 poem, The Grumble Family. I will be taking this. I will read the poem and then explain to you stanza by stanza. Alright. This poem is written by Lucy Maud Montgomery. Okay. Actually this poem is see this unit fully you can see. Unit 1 is unit 2 is fully about family drama. Family drama, that is see now the prose how it was just how the chaos and all the confusion about that the ghost who got inside the house, isn't that one? Actually what it was not a ghost, it was just a family or entertainment anecdote from the poet's the author's life. Now this is a grumble family. What is this Lucy is telling us about? It's a vivid picture about what is a family. This family is really a different kind of family, not the normal family. This family is really always keep grumbling. Grumbling means what? Always complaining. This is not good, that is not good. So they keep complaining. So this this poem is about how the family is. Okay, I'll read it, then you will understand. The poet gives a vivid picture of neighborhood scenes. Okay, the neighborhood scenes and what everything is about. Okay, there's a family nobody likes to meet. They live, it is said, on complaining street. In the city of never are satisfied, the road of discontent beside. So what is it about? The first stanza tells you there's a family nobody likes to meet. See there, see such a family. If is there anybody like that? Any family you know you don't go and meet anybody? There may be fights in the family. Okay, it will be for a week or two, and then we again get together and we continue our relationship, isn't it? But this poet is telling something very odd. It is different. Okay, there's a family nobody likes to meet. They live, it is said, on complaining street. Does any street complain? No. Why is it saying, why this name is given to the street? Complaining street, because of this family only. This family which stays in that street, so that even the name of the street has become that family's name, complaining street. In the city of never are satisfied, the river of discontent beside. See, the whole thing is based on unsatisfied people. Okay, complaining people, unsatisfied. See, the first one is nobody likes to meet that family, first point. Another one is complaining street. The street which they live in is also named now complaining. It is just imaginative, not real. Okay. Then in the city of never are satisfied. So they are not at all satisfied. Always complaining people means the city's name also is named as never are satisfied. And what kind of a river flows there? The name of the river itself is the river of discontent beside. Okay. So this is the location of the house. Okay, where is it? Near the river. What is the name of the river? Discontent. Then what is the name of the city? Never are satisfied. And what is the street's name? Complaining street. And in all this, there is one family living. Name of the family is Grumble family. That is not a surname. Okay, it's not the family's name. People over there say it's a Grumble family. Okay, okay. This whole thing is personified. Then they growl at that and they growl at this. Whatever comes, there is something amiss. And whether the station to be high or humble, they are all known by the name of Grumble. Okay, so what is it? They growl at that and they growl at this. That means even if something is good happening also, oh, why is this good happening? That's the way they ask. If something bad is happening only, okay, normal people, if something bad has happened, oh, if I had okay, you boys or girls, think about this. If only Corona had not come, I would have written my exam so well, I would have got such good marks in 9th standard, isn't it? That's what you would have told. Then I would have got this achievement award, all that. No? So that is complaining. It is satisfied. That is correct, complaining. But whatever, if bad is happening, good is happening also. If something good is happening, if anybody complains, then it something is cracked. Is a crazy person. That's what we will think, isn't it? That's what this Grumble family is. Always grumbling, even for good things. They growl at that and they growl at this. That means everything, whatever comes in their way, comes in their sight, whoever they meet, they grumble. That is, they keep complaining. Whatever comes, there is something amiss. There is something amiss means See, for something, okay, if it is raining, why is this rain? Why is it raining? Why can't we have sun? Like that. Okay. If it is sunny, why is it sunny? Why can't it rain? Like that. That kind of, you can understand the thing, point what I am telling you. Then, and whether their station be high or humble, they are all known by the name of grumble. That means station. Here the station is not railway station or police station. The station is where they live. That is their house. Their house, their home, whatever that is. Whether their station to be high or humble. It can be some can be, that is whether they are rich or poor. Humble is simple people. Humble means simplicity. Okay, living in simplicity. That is ordinary people. High means very rich people. Whether they are rich or poor, but whatever it is, they are known as a grumble family. That's all. That's what this second stanza is telling about. That is about the characters they are saying. Okay, the second stanza is about the first stanza is about the place, that is location. Second stanza about what kind of people they are. Then the weather is always too cold or hot or cold. Summer and winter are like this cold. Nothing goes right with the folks you meet down on that gloomy complaining street. So see, I told you just now, I told you. The weather is always hot or cold. If the weather is hot, what they say? Oh, the weather is so hot, why can't it be cold? If the weather is cold, what they say? Oh, it's too cold, why can't it be hot? Okay, so whatever they keep vice versa, opposite only they keep telling. Nothing, oh, today's weather is so nice, pleasant. Never a word comes from them. Okay, always they complain. Opposite only they keep telling. Summer and winter are like they scold. That is, even summertime they talk about winter time they talk about summer. So everything is for them a big mistake only what's happening. Then nothing goes right with the folks you meet down on that gloomy complaining street. Nothing goes right. That's it. Nothing goes on. Always something they keep telling. This is not nice. That is not nice. This food is. If the food is 100% tasty, also they will find out. Oh, why this something is missing? No, they should have put this masala or put that masala. Like that kind of a people they are. Okay. Then they growl at the rain and they growl at the sun. In fact, the growling never done. And if everything pleased them, there isn't a doubt. They growled and they growled. They nothing to grumble about. Okay, so what happened is they growl at the rain and they growl at the sun. That's what I told you. That is everything they keep growling. Growling means what? They mumbling, muttering, murmuring, all that keep ordering. Oh, something always. This is like this. Always this is that. I don't like this. I am so unhappy. That kind of a sound. That is only growling. Or in an angry tone, but growling in a not a passively saying, but in an angry tone. Okay. And then in fact the growling is never done. That means there is no full stop to it. They keep on doing from morning to night. Okay, they keep growling. And if everything pleased them, there isn't a doubt. They growl and that they have nothing to grumble about. And everything is perfect. What the last two lines are saying means, if everything is perfect, there is nothing to grumble about. Like the food is good, the weather is good, everything is perfectly there means, then they will say, what, there is nothing to grumble about? That is one other grumble. Everything is nice, no, how is that possible? That kind of a thing. Why everything is so perfectly done? So this family has got another one thing to grumble is what? Everything is perfect. That is another one grumbling, complaining, or one incident to complain. Then, but the queerest thing is that not one of the same can be brought to acknowledge his family's name, for never a grumbler will own that he is connected with it at all, you see. So what is saying is, but the queerest thing is that not one of the same can be brought to acknowledge his family name, for never a grumbler will own that he is connected with it at all, you see. That means they don't want to be called as grumbling family. They want something, everybody should be, oh, I am so good, like that they want them to tell. Okay, nobody, oh, this family, like that they don't want them to say. Okay, the worst thing is that if anyone stares among them too long, he will learn their ways, and before he dreams of terrible jumble, he adopted into the family of grumble. That means what? The worst thing is that if passerbys, that is those who cross that house and go on their way, they are going, suddenly if they stop by and they look at that house, no, that poet is selling, the person who looks, no, he also will become like that kind of family. He will adopt their kind of ways. they also will become that one disease, if one disease is there, how the disease get infected, like that they will be infected by the grumble people, grumble family. So, never look when you are passing that place also, do not turn and look at this family, just go by. If you look at that family, you will become like them. So, that is what this poet is telling. The worst thing is that if anyone stays among them too long, he will learn their ways, and before he dreams of the terrible jumble, he adopted into the family of grumble. So, never look at them, or don't, when you are passing by also, just ignore them, let them go, that is it. And so it were wisest to keep our feet from wandering into the complaining street. So, what he is saying is wisest, those who are wise, that is, if you are clever enough, if you are sensible enough, you will not enter complaining street. Okay, you will just leave the street, go to anywhere else, no, everywhere else you go, but do not set your foot, that is, do not step into that complaining street. If you want to be a good person, you want to live a happy person, never go that side. Okay, see, and so if it were wisest to keep our feet from wandering into complaining street, and never to growl whatever we do, lest we be mistaken for grumblers too. So, you will also become like them, to never go to that place at all. Okay. The next last stanza, let us learn to walk with a smile and a song, no matter if things do sometimes go wrong, and then be our station high or humble, will never belong to the family of grumble. Last stanza is the climax. He is telling advice. Lucy Maud is telling us a small advice to everybody, those who are reading this poem. She is telling that let us learn to walk with a smile. Always one person should be not a discontent person, should be a content, whatever it is. You are eating one time meal, or you are eating whether you are happy, always keep a smiling face. You should not show your temper on anybody else. Okay. So, children of your age, you will always throw up and say, I want to do this, I want to do that. Always you keep complaining with your parents, isn't it? You tell me, mommy is not giving me this, dad is not buying whatever you want, isn't it? That should not happen. Always you keep grumbling, always be complaining to your parents, means they also are human beings, isn't it? You should not keep complaining. What if they say, you are not at all studying, so you are not studying, I am not giving you this. So, this is a humble advice to both parents and students, that stop complaining about each other. Try to adjust with whatever you have, try to adjust with the family members, know each other well. Okay, now this lockdown time, you can know each other, family time it is, everybody are getting together now, especially Sundays we are together only, isn't the family is a unit. You can know each other, understand each other's feelings, don't keep grumbling. Okay, as Lucy Maud's last 4 lines, what she is saying, let us learn to walk with a smile and a song, no matter if things do sometimes go wrong. Sometimes nobody's life is perfect, isn't it? Nobody's life is perfect. Everybody's life has got some ups and downs. Okay, today you are happy, tomorrow you may be sad. So, that should not be taken. If you are sad, you should not be okay, I am like this, and you should not be dejected and be discontent about this. This is just passing. If you are sad today, it will just pass. Tomorrow, happiness. Okay. So, happiness and sadness goes hand in hand. Okay. So, no matter if things do sometimes go wrong, and then be our station high or humble. Another one is what he is saying is, whether you are rich or high or humble means what? High means very rich, or humble means simple life. Whether you are rich or poor, that should not matter at all. You should live a happy life, and then we will never belong to the family of grumble. So, you will not be like the family of grumble. You will be a one happy person. Okay. So, a little bit about that is all the poem is. I will tell you a little bit about the poet. She is she written 500 poems and 30 essays, and she has got lot of awards. That is this kind of a story, that is in a poem itself she tells a story, and in the story has got a moral. So, this kind of a poem she has written, and she was very much appreciated by the British. Okay. And all her poems were published in the newspapers and magazines at that time. Okay. 1874 to 1942 she lived. Okay, that is what. And I just want to tell you about the figure of speech in this poem. The whole poem here and there, that is the location, that is complaining street, never are satisfied, discontent, these are all personification. Okay, personification. I told you earlier also what is personification. A thing that is a non-living thing the poet gives life to it and talks. Okay, so that is known as personification. And the next one is they growl at that and they growl at this. Another one, that line, another one line is they growl at the rain and they growl at the sun. So starting word, they growl, they growl, they growl, that is called anaphora. Okay, those two lines you mark it, that is they growl at that and they growl at this, they growl at the rain and they growl at the sun. These two lines are anaphora. Okay, so this is later on I will give you rhyming scheme, you know, isn't it? What is rhyming scheme? I told you, last ending words. Last ending words, if the words are repeated, then rhyming scheme you repeat the alphabet. Rhyming words, rhyming scheme should be denoted by small letters, okay, not capital letters. Rhyming words, if for example take the poem meet street, the first four lines, meet street, meet and street should be hyphenated, that is beside, satisfied, these two are rhyming. So the whole poem has got one rhyming scheme, that is AABB. Everything, the rhyming scheme is AABB, entire thing. The entire, they will not give you the whole poem and tell the rhyming scheme. So they will just give you 4 lines. That 4 lines ending you must see. Meet street AA, satisfied beside BB. Okay, like that whole thing. All right. So AABB is the entire thing. Okay, hope you understood this poem, and whatever homework is given to you, please learn it. Thanks.